Myklegard is Executive Director, Government Programs over at Carahsoft. Drew, always great sitting down with you, sir.
Thanks. Thanks for making the time.
So you were instrumental in this year's summit on FedRAMP. One of your main speakers, FedRAMP Director Pete Waterman, just heard from him, made some really wonderful headlines post-conference. I want to read one of them. I think it's a really good one to kind of kick off our conversation. This is from NextGov FCW. After the Hugging Face breach, FedRAMP chief tells slow-to-patch vendors to stay out of government. I mean, great headline. What does it mean to you? What did it mean to FedRAMP?
Well, Pete's always gonna have an interesting view on the most recent topics, and he's not afraid to express it. I think this one was very timely and needed. We are, like a huge buyer of technology. We have a great set of missions. We spend hundreds of billions of dollars a year in software, and a lot of companies, they'll see that and they're like, oh, I want to do that. But there's another side to it, is that our systems have to be safe and secure. And it depends on the risk level of the agency. Some of our agencies are hit by third nation state actors. Very often, other ones have a little bit more room to accept some risk. And so in each of those instances, we need software companies that can match us with best practices and security. So a lot of these companies that get up, I'd say grow up, they oftentimes will forget about security until the end.
Yeah.
And that's just because most states don't have to protect against China or Russia hitting and trying to exploit them. I think the other thing that people don't always realize is that all of the data that we have. So and we want people to have as many interactions with government as possible, get all of the benefits they deserve, but they have to have a high confidence. So if you lack confidence in your tax filings or your student loans or your healthcare records, and you question going in the government, that can be a determinant whether an individual gets the benefits they deserve. So we're constantly trying to build up that confidence through year after year of great security. And what we've seen in the past is that if there is a breach, that confidence goes away super fast, and it's really hard to rebuild. So what he's talking about is absolutely what we need. We need the best companies, but we also need them to take security seriously.
I know one of your passion areas, and this started early. It may happen your time at the Department of Veterans Affairs. Maybe this was fostered at OMB, but you want different types of companies in that ecosystem. Like, why is that? What do you need from them? And why is it worth their time and effort? Because working with government can be really hard.
Yeah, so we're looking for, it used to be that we looked for large IaaS providers, AWS, Azure, where we could build. And then what we started to see is that a lot of small companies with a couple of people could come up with a product that we absolutely needed, even if it wasn't large in usage. So we had an amazing application, Department of Veterans Affairs, that helped veterans quit smoking. And it was built by veterans, and it was for a very specific group of veterans that we wanted to really impact their life. Now, that's not a huge development team. That's never going to be, like a large Google type company.
Sure.
But we needed them, and they actually ended up, like loving working with us, because they got to go interview veterans. They got to work with them. So within the government, there's such a wide variety of mission sets, and you could go by every agency and find something cool like that, where it takes a very small company to build that need and protect it. But they also have to be invested in the mission. So most people come and work with the government. It is absolutely painful, and it's hard. We make it hard on the acquisition perspective. We make it hard on the security perspective, not intentionally, but just things have happened in the past where, we didn't have ideal outcomes. And so like we're responsive to that. And so that is hard. So the groups of software companies that make it through persist. They really care about the mission. They really care about delivery. Now, we can make it easier, and I'm always trying to make it easier on companies, but those that find the mission that valuable and are small and are willing to work with us, help us with their road, like we help them with the roadmap that we want built, the features that we want. They help us keep up to date with modern software development practices, bringing in people that either security perspective or product perspective that wouldn't probably come into work in the government. And then we can have this great combination of working together.
You worked closely with Federal Chief Information Officer Greg Barbaccia. He's close to moving on into August. Um, FedRAMP was a big part of his initiatives at OMB, and I'm curious what you feel about that as part of his legacy. What kind of legacy is he leaving in that position?
Yeah, so Greg's going to have a great legacy that's going to get better with time. Like a lot of CIOs and a lot of people that I've worked with come in and they're like, I need to get these things done by the end of the time that I'm going to be here. And like whatever that time is, it's usually 18 to 24 months in most of those
Yeah,
positions. And Greg was always looking to the future. He's like, what big shifts do we need to make? And early on, he noticed in security, and security was in his background. First, he was in the military, and then he was in commercial sector focused on security. So that like he knows security well, and he knows what good security looks like. And so we were pivoting inside the federal government from compliance and the old way of building security packages, which was largely paper-based and would be reviewed every year. He's like, our enemies are attacking our systems all the time. Like we can't look at these systems once a year and accept that that's secure. We need to be looking, we need to have best security practices. We need constant evaluation. We need automation. Same thing that's happens in the financial sector. So he really took the time in a part of the government that wasn't going, like there are immediate gains that we've seen,
yeah.
but the long-term effects of what Greg's decision-making around pivoting us from compliance to actual security and outcomes is going to take years, and it'll be through legislation, executive orders. Agencies will adopt, and change their budgets, and you'll see like the posture of the federal government move away from. We'll actually probably in a couple of years be like, can you believe we only looked at an ATO like once a year or once every couple of years? That'll be as dated as like non-agile software or not building in the cloud or any of the other best practices. But all of those take time, and so his legacy will be, he'll be the one that shifted us from like once a year, the heavy documentation to security all the time, every minute of every day, looking at where you're vulnerable and what you need patched.